Thanks. Okay. Lisa will be here momentarily. Okay, so I'd like to call the meeting to order. And our first order of business is to approve the minutes from both the July meeting and the August meeting, since we didn't have a quorum last time. So let's look at the July minutes first. Does anyone have any changes, corrections, etc.?
No, I didn't have any.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved?
All in favor, say aye. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the minutes have been approved of July 28th. And then we have the minutes from August 25th. Does anyone have any comments, changes, corrections?
A motion to approve?
Was there a change? Yep. Okay, a motion to approve, and all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, they were approved. All right, public comment. Well, we don't have public at the moment, so we'll pass on that. The next order of business is announcements. I wanted to announce first that Radnor Township voted in their plastic bag ordinance, a vote of 5-1. So that's really good news. Also wanted to we all know this in the committee, but I wanted to publicly acknowledge that Sarah Pilling has stepped down from the EAC, and I wanted to publicly thank her for her contributions to the EAC, as well as her dedicated contributions in all areas of energy and environmental concern. So just wanted that on the record. Yes, and we do have 2 openings now, and I asked Melissa about whether to advertise this, but Melissa said that there are a few in the pipeline. Is that correct? Okay, so we'll hold off then on announcing more openings. Okay. And then we just got this notice here. It was my 4th announcement that Radnor is establishing this website that's called Bring Your Own Bag at radnor.org. And there will be all kinds of information on it for residents and for retailers, such as a downloadable sign. Lisa and I yesterday did a recording session, an information recording session, and that will be on the website as well. So we'll have to keep our eye on that and see what's going on. So does anyone have any comments on these announcements or announcements of their own? Okay, thank you. So our next order of business is the Birdtown resolution. So I meant to print out the letter that we were given, but I will just briefly remind everybody that last month Phil Whitmer proposed that Radnor Township, which has historically been a bird town, that since the entity has changed that oversees it, it was part of Audubon, and it's kind of complicated the way it changed, but he wanted to have us reaffirm that Radnor is a bird town, and the resolution is in your packet. I think it was Lisa, you recommended a change in the wording at the end, which I gave to Phil, and
Yeah, just the change that the Environmental Advisory Council would serve as the township's liaison for the bird town rather than agent, and I think that change was made in the version that went out.
yeah, I made that change based on your comment, which I think was a good one, because agent is a little difficult to understand. So is there any other discussion on this? What the resolution, what we're voting on is not the resolution. We're voting on forwarding the resolution to the board. So
There was one minor edit that I don't know if it made it into the final version or not, but in the 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth whereas, I think it's supposed to say, whereas as elected representatives of Radnor Township, we have a significant responsibility. There's, the as is missing. But otherwise, I think it's good, and I think we should send it to the commissioners.
any other discussion?
Yeah, the only other comment, and we talked a little bit about this last time, but I'm still unclear as to what's being asked. Still, what is the responsibility? I understand we're just a liaison to Birdtown, so that, I mean, that's fine, we can be a liaison, but are there any responsibilities, or what's it being expected of us as a liaison?
It's my understanding that it's just informational, that we have no real job, but just as to convey information. That's my understanding of it. I'm supposedly the liaison, but I've not attended any meetings or anything. So yeah. So I think it's maybe more of a formality than anything. And this also allows it to, I think the point of adopting, or part of the point of adopting this resolution by the board would be so that we could have it on the website and say that Radnor is a bird town. That's my understanding of it.
Yeah, and the letter that they sent to us also said that there would be a framed certificate presented so they could, it'd be a photo opportunity for the commissioners too, maybe.
Right, yes, so it would be a little, kind of a little piece of good news, which there isn't a whole lot of.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was similar to the Tree City designation, where there's a certain criteria that the township has to meet in order to be considered or certified as a tree city. I wasn't sure if there were certain criteria that the township has to meet in order to be considered a bird town as well.
Yeah, not to my knowledge, not to my knowledge.
I think we already are, according to this letter that Phil Whitmer sent to us at the last meeting, it says that we're already one of 35 municipalities in Pennsylvania that is an established bird town. So this wouldn't be changing that, I don't think. It would just be acknowledging and supporting that we are a bird town and establishing that we're the liaison, I think. I don't think that there's any, it doesn't appear, at least from what we've gotten, that there's any additional onus on us or the commissioners.
Right, since we have been a bird town, I don't think that much will change. Melissa, do you have any insight into this at all? Huh. Okay,
I wonder if the concerns of Phil and other Birdtown members dovetails with our other efforts about native species and supporting bee population. All of these are kind of together, and I'm just wondering if we should do some more research on Birdtown, but also these other efforts to see where they overlap and create somehow a more integrated message on our website, if not in some kind of public education, about healthy yards for both plants and animals.
Right, that's one initiative that we're starting, and
Good.
last month, the one lady, what was her name, Lauren? She said that, we don't really need to do a healthy yard initiative because it's kind of part of Birdtown. On the other hand, I do think we need to emphasize that as well. Yes, we overlap, but I don't think it's enough to just say we're a bird town, because that's not going to achieve anything, Yeah, it's just not going to achieve anything. I see it as a formality, something that looks good for the township. And if they think this is unnecessary or they don't want to do it, they can just not vote it in.
We could also wait, if we want to ask some questions before and then vote at our next meeting, but, I mean.
Well, we kind of said that last time.
Yeah, I don't think we necessarily need to wait. I just wanted to get clarity around that. I'm very supportive of Birdtown. I really like what they're doing. I'm talking to Phil on some personal matters as well, so there's other things, that I'm trying to progress with, so I'm certainly very supportive. But I'm aware of Tree City, and I know what the township has to do in order to be certified, ordained to Tree City, and I just wasn't sure if it was if there was a similar expectation around Birdtown. So before we went to the board, I wanted to make sure that that we weren't giving them another set of criteria, expectations, requirements to be considered a Birdtown. That's all.
Yeah, not to my knowledge.
I'm willing to research at least the website just to confirm there aren't any formal requirements.
Okay,
short
so
of-
the consensus is to wait till next month, is that it?
I mean, I can research it right now.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to wait another month.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm not on the internet right now, so.
I'm okay, approving that this resolution goes to the commissioners and then, not waiting, and then we can
In
see
the
how we
meantime-
can tie the website together afterward. I'm okay not waiting. if
Because
others are.
questions may come to us and we should be
That sounds like a
prepared.
good thing. Okay,
I think it's really actually saying that you will work with Birdtown to restore habitats. It says with municipal leaders, we engage and work together to do all of these amazing things, remove invasive plants. So it's more like yes, we agree to accept your resources to help improve our township. That's what I'm saying.
okay, so do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay,
I just have
Thank
one.
you.
I just have one comment. I'll request for this to be put on the next agenda. There's 2 meetings in October, so I don't know if it'll be the first one or the second one. I'll ask that it be put under consent, where they normally will just, approve a bunch of resolutions at one time.
Okay.
If they do pull it out, we'll probably need somebody here to speak to the resolution. I don't know if that'll be Phil or somebody from the EAC.
I'll let Phil know, because he said he would be willing to be at the
Okay.
meeting.
All right, great.
Okay, thanks, Melissa. Okay, thank you. So in a little brief report on the Fall Festival, We had the table for 4 hours at Fall Festival and had handouts on healthy yards, a little bit about recycling, and Sarah had a PICO representative that was available for people to sign up to have their houses evaluated for energy or fitness. And we had, I would say, the response, was small to moderate.
Did we collect names from the lawn survey? Did you do the lawn survey and did you collect the names?
No, we didn't collect names.
Okay.
We only handed out the survey. We were going to collect names if we had a raffle. But
Gotcha.
we didn't have a raffle.
Okay.
So I don't think anybody would have really wanted to give their name for
Yeah.
that.
We got about 4 names, 4 or 5 names for the green team. And Sarah has those.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So I guess, we got the word out. Some people asked questions. We had a lot of kids coming by for the bowl of candy. And yeah, it was good. So that's, any other comments on the Fall Festival?
I mean, I did have several good conversations early on, some with teenagers who came up to the booth, which I thought was great, and just kind of expressing some of, again, you have to kind of pull it out of them, but, what are the concerns, that type of thing. So some of them talked about composting, which I thought was wonderful, so this was on their mind. Not everyone was aware of the plastic bag ban, so that was also great. So we, had an opportunity.
Right, yeah, we did have that info too.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to share some of that. And then several conversations over battery-powered landscape, use, trying to get away from especially from the blowers and, some of these things. And the questions that were being posed to me were, can we make this a township ordinance? So, some of these, again, great questions to ask. So, these are other topics that we can start to explore and try to understand. Are any other townships addressing these types of issues? How would we potentially go about doing that?
Like banning leaf blowers. Boy, would I be in favor of that.
Did they specifically mean like the gas-powered ones?
They're talking about
Yeah.
gas-powered. I mean, for the most part, they're truly not regulated per se,
Yeah.
compared to automobiles and other things. So
Yeah.
gas-powered, equipment, and most were referring from a commercial establishment, I think most people understand private use. You can't really go there necessarily. But if the township said, if the township established for, moving forward for any of the parks that we control and that we do, it'll be, moving to, electric versus gas powered. These are the types of things that we can at least explore. Establish the leadership position is the point.
That would be an interesting conversation to start with the township not using them.
Right. And I don't know I don't know if we hire out for landscaping or if the township does their own.
I
It's
watch
the
I watch
township.
them
I don't
because
really
I'm
know.
across the street from a park, and I don't think there's any way that they could not use gas powered because they use these huge tractors.
No. It's specifically for the,
Well-
weed whackers and stuff are the
Like,
worst
you mean
things.
leaf blowers
You-
are
you-
the
you-
worst?
The
Yeah.
Right.
leaf blowers and then the weed whackers, the weed
Okay.
eaters.
Yeah, you start with the blowers and the weed whackers. The riding mowers, and the research that I've done, they're not there yet.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, you can drive a Tesla and maybe we just attach some blowers to that, but, no. So no, but, for a lot of the riding mowers, it's not quite there yet. It will be eventually, but, yeah.
Right, and the township has really big mowers.
Yeah.
Really big.
It's a lot of property.
Yeah, I know. It would take forever to do it with my little electric lawnmower.
I think we also could, as I mentioned to some of you before, the noise level from leaf blowers and weed whackers. I looked at the noise ordinance for the township, and it's very general. It doesn't specify times for any commercial operation, like a landscaper, to start operating or not. So I think there could be some advice on this point to limit operation, at least at the beginning, of gasoline leaf blowers and to a certain hour, especially on the weekends.
I think, I'm quite sure that's in there.
It
It's
is?
a
I
7
haven't seen
a.m.,
it.
7 a.m. start, and I thought it was a 7 p.m. finish, but
Yeah.
there is a time frame that's
Well-
attached to any contractor, so, and there was, I can't remember off the top of my head, but
Okay.
I know I've looked at it before for other
Okay,
reasons.
I think
but-
you're right. The thing is, 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning, in my neighborhood, we'll get a commercial outfit doing it on a 7 a.m. And
Yeah, so
So-
I pulled it up, and it's for construction work. I'm not clear whether that would cover,
yes,
I don't know what that specifically covers, but
well, this is, yeah, where,
but it does say,
Maybe-
it shall be unlawful for any person, firm, or corporation, or their agents, to operate or permit to be operated any machinery, appliance,
Well, that would
between the
cover-
hours of 9 PM and 7 AM. So that would allow for a 7 AM start time, and it
okay,
says
that covers a landscaper.
current time or on any Sunday or legal holiday.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're not allowed on Sundays
So
at
they're
all.
not allowed after
Okay,
7.
well,
The
this
way
guy
that,
was in violation then.
yeah, so that would,
Yeah,
yes, so Saturday would be fine under this, but not Sunday. So, yeah, so
Okay.
that's already covered then.
Well, perhaps then the noise approach would not supplement your more electric, favoring electric approach.
The point of the conversation, though, was I was really happy to have these types of conversations at the Fall Festival. That's exactly what I'm hoping people to
Yes.
start bringing up. And
Right.
then we need, again, what's been on my mind as a board, I'd like to kind of take a half day and just kind of think about where are we going, as we start to think about 2023 and beyond, what should be some of our strategic initiatives,
Yeah,
et cetera.
this is number 9.
Okay, when we get to
Yeah.
number 9, I have an idea.
Any other reports on the Fall Festival? Okay, thank you. So this past month, I and Sarah met with Ricky Foster to discuss the possibility of starting a composting program. So there were a few things he was going to look into and get back to us, but I haven't heard that yet. But just today, I believe Sarah is going to be setting up a meeting with folks in media as far as getting some input how they went about doing this composting program. And so we'll wait and see what this comes out of this, as well as I guess I need to remind Ricky Foster as to any new things he found out.
Can you remind me who Ricky Foster is?
What's his official title? He's like the
He's the Director of
ground.
Public Works.
Okay.
Director of Public Works.
I saw, this is just adding some information. So in reviewing the meeting minutes from August, I believe Sarah was talking about Lynn Villa having all of the capabilities to do this. They do because Mother Compost uses Lynn Villa. So that chain is already established. But then I also saw a few yesterday or the day before that the Lancaster County Farmers Market, which is in Radnor Township, actually had easy capital E, capital Z, composting. They're going to be at the market tomorrow morning from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. to talk to folks about composting. It says here that they are a local business on a mission to help residents and businesses divert food waste from being incinerated. And this year they are on pace to divert over 150,000 pounds of compostable materials from the incinerator. I had not heard of them before, so we might need to investigate what they're up to. And they were-
What time tomorrow again? Is it?
They said that they're going to be at the market from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I unfortunately cannot attend, but maybe somebody can drop in.
Yes, I could drop in.
That'd be great because, you know, we had that entire presentation by Kate about composting, and I don't believe this was a vendor that she mentioned. And if they're a local business, Mother Compost also is. So it seems like there is some infrastructure in place for a program to develop, right? We wouldn't be completely starting from scratch.
Yeah, and the grocery chains would also be of interest.
Yeah.
I think it's more the question of the actual, you know, having trucks to pick things up.
Yeah.
And the buckets provided and all of that. I
Yeah,
think
definitely.
that's probably the bigger issue than just can something be done with it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so I don't know how they pick up easy composting or if they have drop-offs, but Mother Compost does have, obviously, they would have to scale.
Right.
But they could also just tell us about what the
Right.
service is. I also don't want to knock community businesses out of,
Yeah.
right, from what amazing work that they started from scratch. And that, you know, they have done this amazing service. Like Mother Compost is, I think, over 1 million pounds or something now that they've diverted, which I absolutely believe because every 2 weeks I send 30 pounds of composting to them, which just seems insane. So I don't want to eliminate those current local businesses from the conversation if we continue this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I mean, I also know, of course, that every week there's a grain pickup,
Yeah.
right, within Radnor. And one of the, my understanding, and I'm not the expert here, I don't understand. I mean, I need to learn more about it. But I know there's the sort of the leaf pickup and then the stick pickup. So they kind of separate the two. Where they're processed, I believe is separated. Yeah. No, yeah, I'm not talking about those, but I'm just talking about on the weekly basis. I think the leaves go one place and then the sticks go, I think they process them differently. I think. But I can never the leaves are turned into mulch. Honestly, I don't understand why I can't put my compost in with the leaves. That would make really good mulch. And maybe that's allowed, maybe it's not allowed, but it's something that we could at least consider
I
exploring.
think we mentioned that to Ricky, and I don't think that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think it gets kind of iffy with like the other materials that end up in there that require like heat and stuff a little bit. But Melissa, I was going to ask if you could follow up on what Ray was saying here about the collection of leaves versus other yard material, if they are separated.
They are. The leaf is composted over in Skunk Hollow in separate rows, and then we have a tub grinder that they use to chop up the debris.
What if you just put it all in one bucket? Like I don't separate the leaves and the sticks, so do they all just go in the stick bucket?
I'll have to find out for you on that.
We just have these garbage cans and we just fill them up with everything, so.
Yeah, mine are mainly weeds. Okay, so we'll keep our eyes on this and try to follow up. Okay, so I brought up last month I always say this wrong, the Adrossan farm issue with pesticides. And Sarah and I had a meeting with Commissioner Mulroney Bill White and Ricky Foster. And Melissa, you were there. Were you there? No. And it's a very complicated story, but the reason it came up was that back in March, Sarah found out that certain pesticides were being used on the parcels of land that are being farmed by a farmer, but that the township owns and rents to the farmer for $1 a year. And this was an agreement that took place a long time ago. And the point was, we can't control what's put on the other parts of the farm, but her concern was pesticides were put on the parcels that were owned by the farmer. And so the farmer raises beef cattle, and he also raises crops to feed the cattle, soy and corn. And it was these crops that were getting the pesticides. She listed she got a list of pesticides from the farmer, but it was uncertain as to which ones were actually used and when. But among the list are the same chemicals as Roundup and the same chemical as Agent Orange. So there was a lot of concern about that. So we had the meeting about this, and what came out of it, action came out of it was that Bill White said that there will be chemical testing of the Darby Creek that goes through these parcels. And he said he would let me know when this occurs, which is supposed to be sometime soon. And he also agreed to have the riparian buffer along the creek examined to prevent any pesticide leakage into the creek. And I asked to be present for this, since I have a master watershed training, but so far I've not heard either. But since then, Gretchen Grobel from the Radnor Conservancy listed a few things that I'm going to follow up on as to whether the farmer has. It's required to have a conservation plan, a nutrient management plan, a manure management plan, and certification to apply pesticides. And I'm assuming these are all in place, but I don't know for certain. So I will follow up on that question. Yes, so it's difficult, it's complicated because I think there are political implications here, as well as the fact that some of the bordering lands that private residents own get tax relief because of being part of this complex. So it's gathering a complicated and somewhat touchy issue. So all that I can say is these are the steps that have been taken so far. So does anyone have any insight into this?
No, I think that the testing is a great idea, and I'm looking forward to finding, to finding that, getting that information when it's done. I do think, if there's a concern about specific pesticides, I don't think we have ordinances that cover or ban any
No, we don't have
particular
ordinances.
pesticides, but, if that is a concern, we could maybe talk about that township-wide. I don't think we would need to single out anyone in particular, but if there's certain, pesticides, herbicides, or any other chemicals that we have concerns about in our township, I think we should talk about that globally for the township.
Yeah, I think the issue was that it's township land, so it's publicly owned land, versus, yes, there's no ordinance controlling. The farmer, I think, has 300 some extra acres, what is done on those. So it was strictly these small parcels that are owned by the township, yeah. And that was the concern. I will continue to follow up on this. I think it's worth following up. I think, as Lisa said, the whole pesticide issue is quite a horrible thing, really, that what we're putting out in the environment. But I have the feeling these kind of regulations have to come from state level. Yeah, I don't know that we could even touch that on the township level. Yeah.
Well, we may not be able to touch it, but, I mean, we could have a list of chemicals of concern. So even then, similar to,
Yeah.
Invasive species trees that we're trying to avoid, we could also simply have a list of chemicals of concerns. And some states have already, as you said, it's often done at a state level, and, various states have adopted chemicals of concerns. And that does come with regulations. That's a little bit different, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't at least have visibility of the list.
Yeah, many of these pesticides that are on the list are banned in Europe. I mean, so that we do know. Yeah. Any other comments at this point? So I will continue to follow up on this, and if anybody has any insight into this, I've got to follow up with Bill too, as to what the plans are for this testing. Darby Creek Valley, whatever association, they have done, like every 2 years or so, testing on different areas of the creek, but not chemical testing. They do macroinvertebrate analysis, which reflects, the harmful effects of pesticides. And the ones in Radnor Township came out quite good. So that there has been that much done. Yeah. Okay, so if there are no other comments, we'll continue to discussion of new projects. Dan brought up the question of air quality. Did you want to speak to that? Or am I mistaken? Was that somebody else?
That was someone else, I think.
That was somebody else. Who brought up the air quality issue? Oh, Ray, was that you with the motors running? No?
Yeah, I think these are all, we had said that this, new projects could include the the leaf blower issue, the noise ordinance that Dan brought up.
That was the noise.
And then we had also gotten an email from someone in the township asking about ordinances that could cover idling of cars.
Yeah, oh, that's where I saw it.
I think they're all kind of sort of related, because the questions
Right.
are, what do the ordinances currently cover, and do we need to do more work to prevent the air pollution, odor, noise that come out of all of these things? I think they're kind of related. As far as I can tell, I think these would have, I don't know if these kind of cleanly fall within any of the ordinances that we already have. At least, with regard to the car idling, I haven't looked into it too much, but I don't see anything specific in that, other than there is an ordinance that deals with kind of smoke and emissions that maybe could cover cars, but I'm not entirely clear on whether it would or whether it only applies to non-mobile sources. But it's certainly worth looking into. But there, and I think same thing with the other things that we were talking about. It's kind of the category of nuisances and.
Right. A number of these could certainly involve, educational efforts. We could do that much. Yeah. So, and obviously another thing we want to do is follow up on composting and yard signs. So that's another thing that's sort of ongoing. Does anyone have any others, that, Ray, that you? want to bring up?
I'm sorry, in terms of current projects? Yeah, so, I mean, again, just a quick update regarding our student ambassador. We've had a number of students express interest, and I'm going through an interviewing process with them. I've interviewed several, and I have 2 more that I'm trying to get scheduled, and then we'll have a student selected next week. And then we'll have, him or her start to, join us. So it was a good response.
Great,
Yeah.
thanks. Any other initiatives we want to look at?
I was gonna just respond to one of Ray's comments earlier about doing some strategic thinking ourselves about what we might want to pursue in the next year or 18 months. And I was wondering what the possibilities are for doing a survey of residents, like an electronic one. I would be happy to make it. We could include it on like the township newsletter that goes out. It could just be electronic, like a Google one, and we could ask what people's environmental concerns are, and also maybe collect some more interest. It would be better to turn away people to be on the council than literally be replacing people as they leave. Every time we get one, we lose one, So I think that, and also would just bring more awareness. So I'd like to explore the option of doing that. And then we maybe get more feedback about what's going on. And then if we have consensus on items, we can move forward with them.
Excellent
Okay,
idea.
great idea, yeah. Would you want to put together a little
Yeah.
survey? And then we'll forward it and see if that can be put on the newsletter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Melissa, is that like a thing that you think is possible, or are we stretching here?
No, I think that's something we can work with
Okay.
Molly Gallagher on. She's our public information officer.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so I will draft one. We will send it here. I'll send it to just like a working group. And then once we are comfortable with all of the questions, we will forward it to see for public consumption.
And Melissa,
Sounds good.
do you know if there's a particular platform? Is it a Survey Monkey, Google Surveys, or is there anything in particular that the township has ever done? I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
we're consistent.
I don't know if we've put out any surveys recently. I know that our website platform has a form. I don't know if they have a survey built in, but I can check with Molly on that tomorrow.
Okay. I'll probably build it in Google Forms just because like that's the most universal in
Sure.
case it needs to be rebuilt in like a Radnor Survey Monkey account or something. But that is easily accessible by everybody, and then
And then we can just link to it
yeah.
in the article. Mhm.
Yep.
Okay, thanks. So any other updates and reports? Any old business or new business that people want to bring up?
I just have one that may be quickly dismissed. Melissa, the International Energy Conservation Code for Pennsylvania, as you know, has been updated from 2015 to 2018 standards. And I just wondered what the code for new construction, at least, how that's going to reflect the new standards. Is there a time frame? I believe there's a grace period before municipalities need to consider adopting the 2018 regs, but
Yeah, I'll probably refer you to Kevin Kochansky. He's the Director of Community Development.
okay. Kevin Kochansky?
Kochansky.
Kochansky.
Yeah, I know it has to go before the board for approval and adoption
Okay.
for any new codes.
So Dan, you'll follow up on that?
Yes, I
Okay.
will.
So we have no We have no public to comment, so unless someone else has something, I'll adjourn the meeting. Yep, meeting adjourned.